Good morning, everyone. Happy Self-Care Sunday, and I hope that you're having a very happy Easter, happy and blessed Easter Sunday here. Before we get started with Self-Care Sunday, I wanted to give you guys a heads up as to what I'm working on and also give you a tip because I made a big boo-boo yesterday. I had time to diamond paint and it turned into a let's fix this mess that I made kind of a day. And it's so like, I'm trying not to get too much in my head about it, but you know what it's like when you have time to diamond paint and then it turns into, I made such a huge mistake here and it's going to take the rest of my afternoon to fix it. So what I have switched to in the first place is release paper. And I'm actually liking it because I'm able to cut off a section that I want to work on and go from there. The mistake that I made is if you see these drills here, you see some of them are out. This is actually going to come up in our Self-Care Sunday too, which is interesting. I didn't complete this section. It's actually these gray drills here are this arrow facing, if you're looking, it's facing now to the right. Well, they were put in wrong, as were these drills that are underneath an arrow pointed towards the left. Did I put any in under here? Oh, thank God I didn't. Sometimes I get a little ambitious and I'm like, I have them in the tray. I might as well just do it. So I might just finish. These are the correct ones going in. Okay, I had to pull all these out and take all these out and put them over here. Now I believe that these are still wrong. Yep, these are the ones going towards the left. Let me just see what that one is here first. I should have took them both out to show you. And then I'll give you the tip. Where is it? Here we go. So these are the ones pointed in one way, and these are the ones pointed in the other way. Okay, so I have been working on the right side of this canvas. This is a huge canvas. This is the Winter Fox. I got the right side done, and then I turned my canvas around after I finished this block here. You can't see what I'm pointing at. After I finished this block here, it was right side up. It was, I was working on it lengthwise. And then I started to work here, not to lean over the canvas. I turned it around. All this is incorrectly. Hopefully it is. Yeah, this is incorrectly because I didn't turn it around yet. And so I started to work on this section. And what was really crazy is that when these drills were here, I actually liked this block here. I liked this color combination with the wrong drills put in the wrong spot. I actually liked that better. But I happened to look up, and if you look up, whoops, sorry about that. I happened to look up, and if you look up, I was like, wait a minute. She's facing the other way. Oh my God. I just put these drills in because I looked and I was like, okay, these are the drills that go here. They're facing this way. And these are the drills. These are the drills that go here. This is what I did. I put these in the wrong spot. And I put these in the wrong spot. And so here's my tip for you guys, and then we'll get into Self-Care Sunday. Do yourself a favor, and on the lower right hand, on the lower corner, both right and left, right bottom on the bottom of your canvas, and on the upper corner of your canvas, right top in the right and left corner. It's going to save you a lot of frustration because had I looked to see, oh, this is the top of the canvas, they're actually pointing the right way now. So, but what I did was I turned them around. And let me tell you, I was listening to a diamond painter and she was complaining about everything. And when she got to the point that there were symbols that were right and left, I think I turned her off. I'm like, it happens. Like, there are arrows that are up and down and sideways and right and left. You just have to be really careful about, the gods are always listening, about which way you're painting, about making sure that you're going in the right direction. So that's that. That's my tip for today. Just make sure that you have something indicating top and bottom, and so that when I was painting on the right side of the canvas, it was the wrong way, and I had to fix that. But now that I'm painting and I turned it to the left side, it was the right way. So that's my little tip for today. Just some washi tape, right top and bottom, on the top and bottom in both the corners, right and left. Welcome. Let's get to Self-Care Sunday. So if you're just joining me at the timestamp, I just went through a huge boo-boo that I made, and I am in the process of correcting. If you're interested, you could go back a little bit, and I think it's like the first 5 minutes, is it? Yeah. And you could see what that boo-boo was. However, if you're not, and you're kind of going to join me right at Self-Care Sunday, you're going to be like, what the heck is she doing? And I think what I'm going to do is just cover this up, save this for another time, and we'll get into a new section. I have changed to release paper. So how is everyone on this very beautiful, I am filming on a Saturday, so my readings are usually from Saturday's reading if you're following along with Mark Nippo. And so what I'm going to do is just work here quietly. Foofy is running in the background, and I'm going to do a voiceover to Self-Care Sunday because this is a very busy Saturday. I don't know what's going to happen next, and I don't want to be interrupted. And if I am interrupted while I'm diamond painting, it's totally different than when I'm interrupted diamond painting and train of thought. So I can edit a lot easier if it's just diamond painting. And get ready for the Self-Care Sunday sermon, miracle moment. It's coming at you. So I am setting up my little section to work on here. I will get the camera a little bit more in focus so you can see where I am and what I'm working on. I'm actually pointing out to you guys once again to check your symbols. That was a big, oh gosh, I was so into diamond painting and everything was just humming along, and it was a big color block section. And the one thing I didn't show you is how I took those drills up. So I think I'm going to do like a little mini video for that too. How I actually took them up with my aligner. It was so much easier. And I used my cuticle clippers that I have just for diamond painting, which is so much better than the extra sharp tweezers that we get in our kits. I'm always afraid of puncturing my canvas. So something I've been doing while I've been diamond painting during the week is I'm always have YouTube on, and I'm always looking for new diamond painters that I can introduce to you guys, because there's more than enough abundance to go around to share people that we enjoy diamond painting, and to expose other diamond painters maybe to a new audience. And I didn't really come across anybody. Well, I did. Oh, I'm sorry. I did. Oh my gosh, she was so fascinating too. So I'm going to make myself a little note here. Oh God, she did something so fascinating that I have not seen done in diamond painting. But I guess, you know, why is it always that the negative kind of jumps at you first? So I was watching someone diamond paint, and she was just complaining about everything. About it was a Dreamer Design canvas. This is Self-Care Sunday, by the way. I'm just weaving this in. And there, you know, I think, of course, there's going to be challenges sometimes when you come across a diamond painting, and you know, of course, share those challenges, but there's always something nice that you can say also about a canvas, about, you know, the palette, the color scheme, the artist, why you picked the canvas, the drills, you know, but everything was just wrong. And I don't know if this maybe was her first Dreamer design, and then someone else said in the comments, well, is this the new Dreamer design? Like, is this Dreamer design 2.0 because they have made some changes? And then when she complained about the drills, like the symbols, like to use, like if you're going to use an arrow, only use 1, don't use 2, don't use 3, don't use 4. I think Foofy is actually coming up in this shot. I'm watching myself take the putty out, and I think he actually is coming up for this shot here. He likes the smell of the peppermint, and I do too. I have to tell you, Putty and I have finally called a truce, and we've become friends, and all my drills now that I'm working with, since using the putty, they all smell of peppermint. So it's so nice when I open up one of those containers and there's the smell of peppermint from the drills that I've put back into the container after being in the tray. I think he's coming. I think he's coming around. Either that or he thinks that little foil packet that I open up is a treat. But anyway, she was complaining about the symbols, being, right and left. And I was like, I'm going to watch this all the way through. I'm going to, give this diamond painter, she has her own charms and challenges also, the benefit of, hearing it out and, seeing if there's some kind of positivity along the way about the company. We just never got there. So I will introduce the other diamond painter that I fell in love with and what she was working on was so interesting, and really she's got me in the mood to try this very technique, but I can't think of her name. I literally go back into my history on YouTube and look it up. And here we are. We're on a roll here. We're finally getting those drills down on the diamond painting. So with all that, here we go into Self-Care Sunday. And when I am preparing for Self-Care Sunday, it's on a Saturday. I write daily in the morning. I write my morning pages every morning. And I read almost daily the Book of Awakening. Depends on how the morning's going. Today's reading, for those of you that are following along with your copy of the book, comes from Saturday's reading, which is March 31st, the practice of being real. And Mark always puts a little quote underneath the heading, as the sun cannot withhold its light, we cannot withhold what feels real. And I'm going to go right into the first paragraph of the reading. As the earth keeps going by turning itself toward the light day after day, we have no choice, despite all forms of etiquette and training, but to keep turning toward what we feel is real. Otherwise, we become cold little planets spinning in the dark. After reading the first paragraph and being conscious to keep turning ourselves toward the light, to what we feel is real, is to know our truth. Just as there are warriors of light and truth, there are warriors of dark. Those who would have you believe that your truth is not a reality. And I don't know if any of you have ever come up against this, where, you're recounting your truth and someone else is trying to tell you that, no, that's not the way that it is. It's not the way that it happened. And it could be, like I say this all the time, my brother and I grew up in the same home with the same set of parents, and yet we both experienced some things together, and yet, there he is, and yet, we have two different realities, and there is only one reality of what happened. There isn't his reality and my reality. It might be his perspective and my perspective, but there's only one reality. There is not one mine and then his, and there's only one, and it exists as the truth as to what happened. And Mark advises to turn to what we feel is real. And my pushback with that when I read it was the sentence, feeling what is real. Now, feelings do have their place. I'm not poo-pooing them. I lived a very long and frustrating life. I can't help but pause when I see Mr. Foofy getting in the way of my, and this is what he does. You know, as soon as I start diamond painting, he hangs over the side. It's kind of like a child. He hangs over the side and he wants to see what I'm doing. What do you got? What are you playing with? Is it mine? Can I have it? And he does tap me on my shoulder and on my arm. And sometimes he's now waving his paw. He is that big. He is now waving his paw in my face. So I have lived a life that was basically, I moved from point A to point B just with my feelings. And, you know, your feelings do have a place, but not when it comes to being tools for cognition. And I really had to learn that the hard way. I remember one night being so emotionally upset that I was like, I wish I had born with no feelings. I wish I was one of these insensitive people that didn't feel anything, because to feel everything is almost like feeling that you are cursed. So it was my only pushback with that sentence, to feel what is real. Because of my own personal experience, the feelings do get in the way to the truth. And the way to the truth is always more than just feelings. And I think we see this a lot today. We see a lot of people that can't really even express the way that they feel. They're so frustrated because that's all they're relying on is their feelings. That when, you know, they'll actually, if they're with someone else, I love this when someone asks them, well, what do you mean by that? And they'll say, well, they'll look at the other person, they'll go, you know what I mean, right? I was in a restaurant that me and my husband go to all the time. And this is a place where most people in South Philly gather. And my husband is sort of a personality. You know, people know him. They've been to his shows. And, you know, he's always had a crowd of people around him, especially women. And, you know, I remember us being out and it was a celebration, or maybe it was just a DJ there that we were following around. We go most of the time wherever Luch is. And so there's a lot of people from our area that do the same thing. And this woman was in my husband's face. You know, she had a low cut top on. Her boobs were, I'm sorry, but they were, you know, all pushed up, and she's like making her way. So she's trying to cut in between me and him. Like, I'm not there. Like, maybe she was one of the people that didn't know that we had gotten married. I don't know. And I just sit back and laugh because I find the whole thing really entertaining. And he was like, yo, you're pushing my wife. And she's like, oh yeah, well, you know, okay. You know, like kind of like that. And I'm just laughing, you know. But then it's like, I you know, she looked at me and she goes, you don't mind, do you? I went, what does that mean? I don't understand what you mean by you don't mind, do you? And she's like, well, my husband's going to be here any minute. And I'm like, but what does that mean? And she couldn't answer me. She's like, well, you know, I've known John a long time. And I'm like, so have I. But what are you trying to say? And she wanted to say, well, you know, just, you know, there's no reason to be upset, which I wasn't. There's no reason to be upset. You know, we're friends. And my husband's going to be here. Like, I'm not trying to pick your husband up or anything. No, but even if I was just his date, you were being disrespectful. So it's always interesting when people are trying to tell you that something is some way based on a feeling. If you just ask them, well, what do you mean? What is it? What do you think? You know, because I think when you say to somebody, well, what do you think? That kind of like, for some reason, makes people uncomfortable. But if you just ask them, what do you mean? Which is also like saying, well, what do you think? But you're using a different word, so it kind of takes the edge off the word. They really can't, most of the time, explain to you. They'll have a lot of excuses, but they can't explain to you what it is. I'm really liking how fast this whole little section is coming along. And I'm so used to my little aligner and fussing with my little aligner. So the second paragraph. Very often when I am confused or depressed for a long period of time, it is because I have stopped turning toward the light of what feels real. At times like this, I have to break the darkness of my spinning with a very small and simple step that often seems huge and difficult because I have been spinning in on myself. I have to practice being real by saying what I feel, not just once, but continually. And that's the second paragraph of this reading by Mark Nepo. So I went back in my memory to find a time when I was confused and depressed for a long period of time. And those were the times. I got married in 1991 and I got divorced in 2021. And the times when I was feeling confused and depressed were times when I was separated from my ex-husband. That's a very confusing and depressing time for anyone that's been married. And the longer that we were married, and when you get separated again, it's even more confusing and depressing. So I kept pushing back all of what was real and trying to convince myself at that time that what I knew, what I thought to be real, along what I was feeling, was not happening. I was trying to change reality. So I'm trying to put into words what I'm trying to say. The reality was that he was not home most of the time. Even when he was in Philly, he worked a lot, but most of the time he was juggling being also in New York. And I would say, well, he's not here most of the time, but okay, he works and he juggles a lot of responsibility and he has a lot of people in his life that depend on him. And then I would, again, trying to bend reality of what I was thinking to be real and feeling to be real. Well, okay, he makes time for me every Sunday. He picks me up from yoga and it's our day to do brunch and catch up from a hectic week. And then again, really, bending the reality of, thinking that way or feeling that way. The reality is that I would get done yoga and be very excited about how my class went and how my students were feeling and the feedback that I was getting from them. And I would be so excited when he would pick me up, which would always, just from the, I'm teaching yoga now, I don't know what, 3-4 years at the same place. And, what time I get done, and, he would either, maybe just be showing up or be late or whatever it was. This was his idea to pick me up after yoga. This was his idea to go to brunch. But I would always get into the car and I would always be very excited about something that I taught and how it landed. And if a student gave me some feedback or maybe had this kind of light bulb moment, and while I'm talking to him, he's just disengaged. His mind is somewhere else, and he's not paying attention, and like, your wife just got into the car and she's very happy and elated, and she's doing something that she loves to do. And very slowly I would feel my zen just start to evaporate. And he would get mad that I would say, like, did you hear what I just said? And but he didn't, so he would get defensive and he would push back, and then it's like we're in an argument. I'm like, the heck did I even bother, like, asking, or agreeing, to do this brunch thing. I could go. I love to teach yoga and then go off on my own and get a cup of coffee and write about my class and write about exactly that. What landed, what didn't land, how did it go, whatever someone said to me, things that were building me up. I don't need people to build me up and build myself up. And, I think, I know I had stopped that. I mean, I had stopped him coming to pick me up from yoga because, I'm starting to realize that, well, I did realize that I was, bending reality, that he really didn't want to spend time with me. He felt as though he had to. And, nobody wants to be tolerated. He tolerated me for a few short hours, one time a week. And I was pretending to be happy about it. He would call, absolutely, during the week and check in, and those conversations were always pleasant, but they were short and sweet, and they were at a distance, but enough to make me feel that everything was okay. We were together and everything was okay, and he's doing his thing, and I was doing my thing. I was not practicing what I knew and felt to be true continuously. After expressing in the car, like, are you listening to me? I don't feel listened to. I'm excited, and you don't even, there's no emotion from you. And then it was just be like an argument, and then we would eat with like this agita in our stomachs and like not talk to one another. And then he would leave for New York on Monday morning, and then he would call during the week, and everything would be blown over and okay. But really, I'm not, as Mark said, you just can't speak your truth once. You have to speak it continuously. Something a little more simpler would be what I expressed moments ago with the diamond painter that was, complaining about everything. And I want to say, I did mention that she was working on a Dreamer Design, and it's a good time to mention here that I am not an affiliate of Dreamer Design. But what I learned also, not just from her, I knew it for a while, and I made this decision a long time ago when I would be diamond painting, and maybe someone would write in the comments, like, what do you think about Diamond Art Club? What do you think about Dreamer Design? What do you think about, I can't think of all the diamond paintings that I buy from, but there was only once that I was so adamant in my review of a company, because I didn't want to gloss over the absolute neglect that was going into, and I felt as though not just neglect, but also the untruthfulness about the product that they were selling. So there was only one time that I think I gave a company a really negative review, and just because I spent my hard-earned money on this product, and I didn't want any of my subscribers to think that they were missing something because I gave them a review that made them go out and buy something, and then they got burned. So the one thing that I don't do is compare companies. They all have their own charms and challenges, and I like being able to sit down with a diamond painting that I have purchased and experience a diamond painting kit, and I do that, with an unboxing, without having some expectation about what I think they should be. I would not like or enjoy being compared to another channel or another diamond painter, just as you would not like to be compared to other diamond painters. And when you really look at that bigger, right, something as enjoyable as diamond painting, but when you look at it bigger, if you're diamond painting and saying, oh, I really love Diamond Art Club, I really love their drills, I really love their square drills, and then you go and do another company and you say, well, this isn't a Diamond Art Club, I'm not really enjoying this, I like this better, that train of thought and thinking, yes, of course, you're entitled to your opinion and what you prefer. But I think that it's dangerous, and here's why. It trickles down into other areas of our life where we begin to contrast and compare people and things, and instead of just looking at things as they are and what they're trying to be and what their charms and challenges are and what trajectory this thing or person or place or whatever it is that we're comparing is on. I think because you're already, you could just keep diving down this rabbit hole. If you're going in with expectations of what you think is the best, I hate these, I really do, and I hate the word hate, but it ruffles me when I hear someone say, who has the best cheesesteak in Philly? I'm like, how could you? I mean, I was a restaurateur, so I'll use my own category, which is vast. Pizza, right? I was married into the family that is the first pizzeria in the United States. There's bragging rights right there. Doesn't mean we have the best pizza. Some people think so, but I'm like, there's so much pizza in the world. There's so many different hands. There's so many different ideas and so many different changes. And that word, the best, like if you go into eating if I went into eating a slice of pizza thinking, well, I'm part of the Lombardi Empire and we make the best pizza that there is, no other pizza can compare, I'm missing a hell of a lot. So that's what I think is a danger in comparing things and not letting something just unfold in front of you as it is. So, take the preconception out of your mind, because it does trickle down. We end up comparing everyone and everything. And, you might be thinking right now, like, of comparative standards that you do in your own life, or maybe that you see in your life that you wish everyone around you would just stop. Or maybe you're having a light bulb moment here and you're thinking maybe I should take a step back and look at my own situation where I'm comparing this and that, not really being fair and not giving, the thing that I think is less than my full attention to what it really is. So I am watching myself diamond paint here, and this is pretty much the way my day was going yesterday. I was just humming along and I was having a really good time, and there's this nice big juicy block of drills that you can lay down, and I still take my time because I do think that the bigger placers, while it's great to lay down a lot of drills, I always feel like they need a lot more fussing once they're down, and that they don't really align in the drill space the way they would if you took smaller bites to it. So if any of this is stirring something inside of you, feeling something inside of you, or you're thinking about something, and I hope it's something that you would like and can share in the comments, because that opens up a discussion. And you never know where your comment may land in another subscriber, and it might land in touching someone else's heart, and they join in and they let go of something they have been holding on to. So we can have that domino effect. I better get back to this reading before my time runs out. So paragraph 3, Mark writes, I have struggled my whole life with this. And he's talking about paragraph 2, which was not continuously saying his truth. I have struggled my whole life with this. Like most of us, I learned to survive by withholding what feels real when events happen, when someone says or does something that hurts me. I have learned to absorb the hit and pretend that nothing has changed, that everything is the same. But when I do this, my energy is used up in maintaining the pretense that nothing has happened, and I begin to spin coldly in the dark. I have struggled with this my whole life. And when I heard when I read this when I heard myself reading, because I do read out loud when I'm alone, it hit me, and it hit me hard. I saw myself in this situation of past situations of taking a hit and pretending you missed me, taking a hit from someone. You missed me, I know you meant to hurt me, but it just bounced right off of me. When I know the truth, I am hurt, and I'm trying to pretend that I'm not hurt. And I believe that that is why the hurt lingers. In that moment, me, you, we're not real. Not that we are not real, but we're not being real. And I believe that it is the hurt that we hold on to. And we hold on to it because we're not dealing with it. We are dealing, we've already disguised it. We've already pretended that it's not there. So we don't really deal with it. We're dealing with our lack and our ability to be real. That's what we're holding on to. We think it's the hurt. Oh, she hurt me. She said something and I'm not going to forget it. But that's not, I believe, what we're holding on to. I believe what we're holding on to is the fact that we disguised that in the moment and we pretended that it didn't hurt. And it made me ask myself, as I was thinking about times that I did this, why? Why can I not just simply say, that was me? Someone once said to me, I was, just letting a lot of frustration out. And I was letting it out on this person. And they said to me, I'm sure letting go of all that frustration out on me made you feel better in some way. And my next thought was, I hurt someone. I was still trying to cool down from my frustration and anger. And those words were now hurting me. I'm sure, you just unloaded on me. I'm sure that made you feel good in some way. And even though I was still, I was feeling all of that, I still waited to say I was sorry. I was not only embarrassed by my behavior, but I was also trying to, and again, pretend that I wasn't seeing it. I was trying to hide my awe at this person being so vulnerable and raw with me and tell me, that hurt. I'm sure it made you feel good in some way, but that hurt me. And I was still trying not to react. The need to hide and act as though what I said did not hurt was something I had not dealt with before in another person, and I didn't know how to react. And even react now is not the right word, because I was already reacting. I didn't know how to respond. I was waiting for them after I unloaded. I was waiting for them to come at me with a comeback, and I was ready for the next comeback. We're in battle now, we're at war. But that truthness and vulnerability stopped me in my tracks. And I also think, and I think that this may apply only to the women listening, because I'm learning a lot more about men at my age, and how they react to things. I wish there were more male diamond painters. And if you know any, please drop them in the comments. I would love to check their channels out if they have one. Or if you are a male diamond painter and you're listening to this, please say hi. But I think the reason why I'm saying that this may apply to women only, because this is how we're raised. We're raised to be polite. We're raised to not hurt. We're raised to, to bend reality a lot of the times. Like, what's happening is not really happening. Don't upset, John and I just went to go see a comedian in person, Tom Papa, and he's like from our generation. So there was a time when the father was the king of the castle, and he talks about like the relationship that he has with his children now, and the relationship he had with his own father. And he's like, I didn't even know my father. My father lived somewhere in the basement. Like that was his man cave at the time, And like my mother would say like, oh, your father's sleeping. Like, don't disturb your father. It's your father. Like he works so hard. Like just leave him alone. He's like, my kids now, they're dragging me from one end of the universe to the other. They got to go here. They got to go there. They need this. They need that. So that's why I'm signaling the women out that may be listening to this, but we pretend a lot that things are not going on. Look at the whole Me Too movement, don't act like something is happening when it really is, So we pretend not to be hurt so the man doesn't have to be. Am I making sense? Does that make sense? Because I'm not trying to be insensitive to anyone. I'm just talking about a time like when I grew up, and it was always like mind your manners and be polite and smile and nod your head, and even when we're frustrated and we're acting out ourselves like I was, it's like, oh, now I've hurt someone, and so now I have to like be sorry, which was the proper response, was to be sorry in that situation, but but there are times when it's just not. So we continue to I believe that women react that way, so the men don't have to deal with the reality that what they said or did was hurtful. We put on a face and we pretend that it did not, so they do not have to deal with their actions. Yeah, I can go down a very deep rabbit hole. I'm like all over the place. I'm like, one thought leads to another, because I sit down and I think about what I'd like to talk about with Self-Care Sunday, and then I make these bullet points, and then I write out these things, and then I go back and read them, and then I make readjustments, and then I pull back even further, and I see something a little bit broader about what may be going on, and what I'm actually analyzing, my words that I'm seeing and saying, but yeah, that might be true, but what about if this is the situation? So that's kind of where I'm going with all this. So in the last paragraph, Mark writes, it's so simple and yet so brave to say that we are hurt when we are hurt, that we are sad when we are sad, that we are scared when we are scared. In a very direct and daily way, this energy of realness changes situations, because the immediate expression of our truth releases light and warmth that influences the life we are a part of. This is the way our spirit shines. I remember right before my father died, I went to visit him. It was another argument in the car with my husband, ex-husband. I had accompanied him to a trip to our accountant's office, and I had questions about our account and the future planning, and I wanted them answered directly from the accountant. I just could not, and my ex-husband had been explaining this to me for years. I could not understand it in the way that my ex-husband was explaining it to me, and it always left me with more questions. So I just wanted to go to the accountant with him. I was, getting to that age where, I'm starting to plan and plan for my future and plan for retirement. And I had some questions. So once we get to his office, he put the car in park in front of the complex and said, wait here. And I looked at him with a blank stare as to why he was not parking the car and why we were not getting out together. I'm thinking, well, maybe this is not Peter's office, because I had not been there before. And I said, well, I'm coming in with you. I have to speak to him too. And he said, oh, well, he's not here today. I'll be right out. I just have to drop these papers off. That is gaslighting. I'm in the car. I'm watching him walk into the building. I was so tired of this conversation. I got out of the car. His side car door was open. He had left it open. And I got out and left my side car door open. The car was still running, and the keys were in the ignition. Anyone could have jumped in and drove off with a Mercedes, and I just did not care. I started to walk out of the parking lot, out of the complex, and onto the road. My brain felt numb. I had this floating anxiety, which I think is the most terrifying anxiety. And I was crying. And I'm saying to myself, what the F is going on? You know, he knew I took this ride with him. We've been fighting about this nonstop for weeks. So to say, oh, he's not here. Well, why did you think I was in the car with you? That's what I meant by gaslighting. He is now in the car, and he's coming after me with the car. And he's screaming that, you know, you left the doors open with the car running. I can't even look at him. I'm distraught. I'm upset. I felt like I was having a breakdown. Maybe I was. I don't know. I looked at him and I said, I want to go to my mother's. She was only 5 minutes away. And when we got to my mother's, I put the face on. Everything is okay. I just came over to visit my dad. I thought that my ex had left to pay a bill for our storage, which was right around the corner from my mother's. My dad was sitting in his recliner, and I had stopped to calm myself, use the bathroom. I went to a Dunkin' Donuts. I brought my dad an apple fritter and a cup of coffee. And I pulled up the ottoman, and my dad was sitting in his recliner. And he was watching a musical, something that he did a lot because music is very calming to people with Alzheimer's. So I pulled up the ottoman and I was talking to my dad, and we were sharing a cup of coffee and talking when out of nowhere, my ex-husband had came out of the bathroom. He must have gone out and came back in the side door and went in the bathroom, and he walked deliberately. It had to be deliberately because there was room behind me to walk, but he squeezed his way between me and my dad. I jumped up and I screamed at him because he scared me. And he just calmly walked out the door with this smirk on his face that I've seen so many times. And I've seen this in other men that were this way with women, where, you know, they got their pound of flesh and it puts this kind of smirk, this feeling of glee across their face. And my dad was begging me, like, Elisa, please don't scream. You know, the screaming made him unsettled. And now my mother is screaming at me because, like, is this the way you talk to your husband? She says to me. Okay. So I sat back down and my dad said, oh, Lisa, please don't holler like that, honey. He's like, that's all your mother does is she screams like that. And she was, you know, she did scream at him a lot because she was getting frustrated with his, you know, questions. And, you know, being a caretaker is not easy. I'm not judging my mother in any way. I didn't go through that. But my dad looked at me and he said, Elisa, every time I see you, you look so sad. Why? And I said, because I am, Dad. I had been teaching yoga for some time now, and I had learned my truth, and I didn't hide behind things any longer. When I'm sad, I'm sad. When I'm depressed, I'm depressed. When I'm happy, and I say it. And my dad looked at me and he said, Elisa, don't waste another minute of your life being sad. And he was right. He had Alzheimer's. He only forgot me one time. Again, it was me coming in the door with Dunkin' Donuts and a cup of coffee for him. My dad got so excited when I would come in with coffee and cake. He loved it. He loved it. He really didn't like my mother's coffee. I'm sorry, but he didn't. I think she knows this, but he didn't. He would always say to me after dinner, Elisa, hurry up, get up, go make the coffee before she gets to the coffee pot. He liked my coffee because he taught me how to make it. But I came over with Dunkin' Donuts, and I said, Dad, let's go out in the back. It's so nice out. And I had taken the coffee out and the donuts, and I was arranging the donuts. My father had the big sun umbrella on the table, and I was arranging the donuts on the table underneath this umbrella. And he's like, Elisa, what are you doing? And I said, well, I call this one Donut in the Sun. And he knew I loved taking pictures, and he just broke out laughing. And he said to me, I wish you could meet my daughter, because she's just like you. She's so artistic. She's so creative, and she loves to take pictures. And it stopped me. And I thought, my dad had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and it's beginning already. And does it have to be today? Because not only did I come over with a cup of coffee and a piece of cake for my dad, but it was Father's Day. But it was the only time that he forgot me. He remembered me up until he died. He only forgot me that one time. And I don't know. I don't know if that was a wish that he had, that he maybe could have said to me, Elisa, you're so creative and you're so artistic. Or maybe it was something that he wanted me to know about myself that I didn't believe in. And he was telling me to tell me, to meet me. Hey, I wish you could meet my daughter. She's so artistic and creative. I don't know. But those moments were some of the truest moments that I had in my life. And their immediate expression of the truth, as Mark writes, did change the situation. I had to stop pretending everything was going to be okay with my dad and with my marriage. And my spirit did shine, but in another way, in a way where it could finally unfurl its wings and just breathe this sigh of relief that I had begun to live in my truth. I love the exercises, and I say this all the time at the end of every Self-Care Sunday. I love the exercises that Mark gives at the end of each reading because they're so insightful. And the one at the end of this chapter is to just center yourself and let a stream of your feelings move through. It's a pretty easy exercise, I believe, and it's an easy practice because you're just sitting with yourself, just like right now. It's a practice in how you are feeling and expressing it. So you might feel like I am feeling very excited to see my family today. I am very excited. I'm feeling cold. I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling that my mood has uplifted today. I'm feeling bored at my job if you're listening at your job. I'm feeling tired. Just to say in this moment, and that's the practice of saying how you're feeling. So that after a time you can give a direct voice to the particular feelings when they do arise. And it's also like, if you have ever gone to therapy, a therapist will tell you that when you want to relay something to someone that you're in therapy with or that you're in therapy for, that you use the word I and not, well, you do this and you do that and that's why I am mad. No, it's like you use you voice your feelings by using the word I. I am feeling sad. I am feeling frustrated in this moment. So it trains you this very, I think, very, because it's a very simple practice in expressing how you're feelings right now, how you're feeling right now, so that, or even better yet, I would say, to write it down. But just lean back now and just, take a minute right now to, if if you are looking at the diamond painting, to just take a moment to relax into what it is I'm doing. I find it very relaxing to use my aligner here and straighten out my drills as I go along. Or maybe if you're just listening to this as a sort of podcast as you're doing things around your house, then maybe just sit down. Maybe if you're diamond painting along with me as you're listening to this, put your pen down for a moment. Take a stretch, roll your shoulders, close your eyes, take a breath. How are you feeling? Just breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Really take your time to drag the breath in and release out. How long can you comfortably inhale? And how long can you purse your lips and exhale out? I am feeling relaxed. Using this practice, we can train ourselves to say exactly what we feel without hesitation when the more difficult circumstances or conversations arise, and they will. But I believe you will find them only difficult for a moment. A moment is all you need to create a miracle. A miracle is all a miracle. A moment is all you need to create a shift. A moment. I keep saying miracle. Maybe there's a miracle on my horizon. A moment is all you need for a change. I kind of think of moment as minute, and I'm thinking of the song that it only takes a minute to fall in love. And it does, you know. You might be out with that person and be looking at them across the table and being like, I don't know here, you know? And then that 1 minute, boom, wow, you're in love. In the moment that you decide, I am going to be true to this moment, is the moment that you turn it all around. It's one of my favorite lines from one of my favorite movies, Vanilla Sky, with Tom Cruise and Penelope Cruz. I'm trying to think of Penelope's. I've seen this movie so many times, what their character names are. But Penelope Cruz turns around to Tom Cruise and she says to him, every passing minute is another chance to turn it all around. If any of this seemed validating to you, or you had any aha moments, I hope you'll think about subscribing to Elisa Maria Designs, and I hope you'll join us and this little family that we're creating here. We have some wild discussions. I don't just do Self-Care Sunday, I do whip and chats, and I it seems to be that, my 80s moments and my foofy moments, my cat, seem to, spark a discussion, or, TV shows and what I'm watching, they seem to be what sparks discussions on my page. And I'm hoping that, and Self-Care Sunday also, I'm hoping that there's a discussion here on Self-Care Sunday, during your day today on this blessed and happy Easter, that you try to be mindful of how you are feeling, and if it feels comfortable, to just say how you're feeling and be mindful of what shifts. Be mindful of your feeling of stating your truth, how that feels. And here we are at the end of our Self-Care Sunday. I hope that you enjoyed this reading from the Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. It is from Saturday, March the 31st reading. And I am looking forward to being with you this week. And I have a few tips and tricks under my sleeve and introducing new diamond painters. Oh, I know you're just going to love this one diamond painter that I found and what she created. And it's just so exciting. And it gives you a freedom to create, if that's what you create your own diamond painting, if that's a little hint there, if that's what you like to do. And putting my pen down. If you haven't put your pen down, take a breath. Bye, guys. Thank you.